and we've got God with us. God bless you all.
Now we've got 2 speakers left. And I don't know about you, I didn't run this by Christine because I'm kind of rogue. You guys, anybody who knows me knows I'm a little rogue. I'm a radio talk show guy. But I think after our next 2 speakers, what do you guys say we just storm the State House and chant no more taxes? I mean, they're there anyway, and we're here anyway, and there's no reason why they shouldn't hear what we have to say, because we are the people. Our next speaker, Jessica Vaughn. We do own that house, thank you. You know, one of my mentors in this business, whenever I'm not sure what to do, I always look to see what State Representative from Andover, Jim Lyons, has to say. I mean, just a change in program, sorry. Where's Aaron Goldstein? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had someplace. Aaron Goldstein, I was actually fortunate enough to see him last year in Worcester. Spoke at the Worcester Tea Party, did a great job. Aaron began his political life as a socialist. But following the attacks of September 11th, he gradually began to embrace the wisdom of conservatism. He uses his poetic license, which I understand has been suspended from time to time, to write about politics, music, clam chowder, anything else that he damn well pleases. He was born in Canada, and Aaron has lived in Boston for over a decade, and he is a true Tea Party patriot. Let's give him a Tea Party welcome for Aaron Goldstein. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm certainly delighted to be here today. I want to thank the Greater Boston Tea Party for inviting me to speak with you once again. As was just said, I had the opportunity to address the Tax Day rally last year in Worcester. For those of you who don't know me, I am a regular contributor to the American Spectator, and you can find my articles and blog posts at spectator.org, and you won't be disappointed. Now, I know we're all having a good time this afternoon, and I hate to be a buzzkill, but I gotta be blunt. It's been a long, tough year for the Tea Party. Since last year's rally, the Supreme Court upheld Obamacare, and President Obama was reelected. Hey, how do you think I feel? Now, I don't know if you remember this, but President Obama said that Obamacare wouldn't raise the deficit by a dime. Well, Obama has increased the deficit by enough dimes to fill Boston Common. And with the budget that Obama announced the other day, you can add nearly 4 quadrillion dimes to the pile. President Obama doesn't give a dime about the deficit. How could he? Obama says that a $17 trillion deficit isn't a crisis. If a $17 trillion deficit isn't a crisis, then what is? 20 trillion? 25 trillion? 30 trillion? 50 trillion? 100 trillion? Where does it end? Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little highway sign to the left of this stage, and it reads, "Debt crisis ahead." It's here now.
That's right. Yeah. All around.
And yet, the people believed Obama. It just goes to show that some of the people can be fooled all of the time.
That's right.
Why, it's enough to make my mustache curl. Unfortunately, Republicans aren't much better. Recently, House Speaker John Boehner agreed with President Obama in saying that the deficit wasn't a crisis. Not only that, but he said that he absolutely trusts President Obama. Now let me get this straight here. This is the same President Obama who started the sequester and spent weeks repeatedly blaming Boehner and Republicans for it. Now let me ask you guys a couple questions. Do any of you think the deficit isn't a crisis? No. Do any of you absolutely trust President Obama? No. I didn't think so. But as long as we have Republicans who think the deficit isn't a crisis and absolutely trust President Obama, we have a serious problem, and it isn't going to go away anytime soon.
That's right.
And as long as it isn't going away, we have to ask ourselves where this leaves the next generation. Now, given all the setbacks of the past year, it's easy to say that we get the government we deserve. But that would be wrong. It would be wrong because the next generation has to live with the consequences of last November's vote.
That's right.
Now, I know a few speakers mentioned her name earlier, but I think it's bears worth repeating. As Margaret Thatcher so wisely put it, the problem with socialism is that you run out of other people's money. And at the rate President Obama, Congress, Governor Patrick, and others are spending our money, there might not be any money for the next generation to call their own. So, what do? The best way we can unburden the next generation is by passing on the knowledge necessary for them to tell our leaders to stop. Stop spending money you don't have. Stop borrowing money you know you can't pay back. Stop mortgaging our future. Stop doing for us what we can do for ourselves. Now, I won't leave you with any illusions. This will not be an easy fight. If younger people rise up against irresponsible government spending, our leaders will do their best to ignore you.
Nothing worth getting comes easy.
If that doesn't work, they will do their best to mock you. And if that doesn't work, they will do their best to accuse you of racism and other acts of intolerance.
Get that right.
When those things happen, and they surely will, all I can tell the next generation is don't stop.
That's right. You're doing something right.
If the next generation is undeterred from telling our leaders to stop spending our money, it will be because you have got their attention. In other words, don't stop telling our leaders to stop spending our money. Don't stop telling our leaders to stop spending your money.
Don't pay taxes.
And if the next generation doesn't stop telling our leaders to stop, then and only then will our leaders start to listen. Thank you for your time. How about Aaron Goldstein? You know, it was just pointed out to me by somebody that, put my cigarette out. They're going up on our cigarette taxes, by the way. You'll notice that when they go up on the cigarette taxes, they say, oh, we're going to only use the money for poor people who have emphysema, so we have to raise the cigarette. And then they take it and they raid that money and they blow it like they blow everything else. And that's why we're all against taxes in general, isn't it? So someone just said to me a few seconds ago, you'll notice that this is the first Tea Party rally that we've ever had where there were no protesters, no boos, no Occupy, nobody standing up and trying to shut us down. And so you guys ought to give yourselves a round of applause for being one of the best audiences we've had on this podium ever. Our next speaker is Jessica Vaughn. Recently, State Representative Jim Lyons, one of my mentors and a very good friend, discovered that Massachusetts spends a shocking $93 million, your taxpayer dollars, on health care for illegal aliens. Why? And by the way, I want to thank Jim Lyons for being the one of the entire State House, House and Senate, the only guy that stood up and said, I'm going to occupy the State House and I'm not leaving until I find out how much of our tax money is going to people who don't belong here.
Right.
So thank you, Jim Lyons. Jessica Vaughn is the Director of Policy Studies for the Center of Immigration Studies in Washington, D.C. It's a D.C.-based research institute that studies the impact of immigration on American society from the standpoint of the national interest. She's a nationally recognized expert in immigration policy, especially visa programs and immigration enforcement. She has worked on these immigration issues for more than 20 years,
beginning as a Foreign Services Officer with the State Department. This year, she was honored to testify at both the United States House and Senate Judiciary hearings that launched congressional deliberations on comprehensive immigration reform. Please give a wonderful Tea Party welcome to our final speaker, Jessica Vaughn.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you for sticking around. There are some people on the other side of the immigration issue that have started referring to me and my colleagues as the bitter enders. Yeah. Because we're going to fight for this till the bitter end. Well, thank you all. Today I really am the bitter end. But thank you all for being here with me, and I hope you will stay with me and my colleagues over the next few months, which are going to be absolutely critical on the immigration issue in terms of defending our sovereignty, defending our democratically enacted laws, and defending our children's future. This weekend is the calm before the storm, because we are told on Tuesday the gang of 8 senators that have been putting together, meeting in secret, talking only to their favorite special interest groups, are going to release the big comprehensive immigration reform bill on Tuesday. This is the bill we're told that we have to do and need to do because it will improve our economy, right? Didn't you know that high unemployment means we need to bring in more workers? We need to do it because we're incapable of enforcing our immigration laws, even though a lot of places like Arizona, Georgia, and even Rhode Island next door tried it and found out that it can be done and it works.
Mexico
and finally, and Mexico enforces theirs without any problem. So do a lot of other countries. And finally, we need to do this now because I'm sure you've heard this. The border is secure. Normal or nuts?
Don't believe the lie.
So, this bill is so great and so just what we need. According to its sponsors, the Gang of 8 and their leading thug in the Senate, Senator Pat Leahy, that they wouldn't dare introduce it before Easter recess because, as one of the gang said, we can't put it out there, it's just going to get shot up when we go home. So they waited until after the recess, and they're announcing it on Tuesday, and then this is such a great bill that they're going to hold one hearing on it on Wednesday, with the star witness would be our own Department of Homeland Security Secretary Janet, the border is secure, Napolitano. So, and this bill is so good, the president went and met with House Republicans and said, this bill will really, really help you and your party a lot, so you need to pass it. Now, how many people would believe the president if he went and told you that? Right? Here's what's in it. Here's what's in the bill we're told. Nobody's actually had a chance to read the 1,500 pages, but don't worry, the senators will have a couple weeks before they vote on it, until they vote on it to find out what's in it. We're told that it's immediate amnesty for the 11 or so million people who are now living here illegally. An expansion of guest worker programs to bring in more than the 700,000 that we're already bringing in every year, followed by a promise to enforce the laws after the year. I sense some skepticism out here.
Is that normal or nuts?
Normal or nuts? So, if you're concerned about unfunded mandates and about a sustainable economy and future for our children, you ought to be concerned about this bill because it's going to wreak havoc in our labor market, in terms of our public safety, and especially on your tax bill. Because not only is it going to further saturate our job market, which is anemic, and basically